Michael, you were talking about how the manipulators are controlling the masses. Now they have touted the technology that can read our thoughts. It won't be long, I don't think, before they can eliminate those of us that disagree with them without as much as a whimper from us. How do we fight this kind of intrusive technology?
Well, there's many different ways of doing so. My work, again, focuses mostly on consciousness, that people need to become human, find out what it means to be human as opposed to some sort of a technological creature that is just a product of the societies that have existed for so long. It goes back to the heart of, what is the mind? What is the brain? And basically how to find out about your own uniqueness, because it is this person only who can be free. It's this person only who can understand how to work with his higher guides, because you're going to need spiritual protection in all of this, because as you said earlier on, this is some sort of a spiritual Armageddon in many ways. And what my work focuses on is not just about the them and what they're doing. I mean, basically, they're psychopaths, as I said. So you don't need to really be a rocket scientist to work out why these people do what they do. They're psychopaths, period. That's what they do. And they act in a psychopathic way, and they'd much prefer the world to be in a state of total chaos, because that's what psychopaths like. That's what helps cover their tracks, and that's just the kind of climate that they want to exist in. I mean, that's Psychology 101. What can be done against it, you see, is the old Buckminster Fuller adage that if you don't like the system or you don't like something that operates, then create a new way, so that you can replace the thing that is rotten. And this is where the genius of the human being is coming about. So I don't have really prescriptions. I know that the human being is a magnificent enough creature as long as he turns within that, as long as he gets in touch with his uniqueness. Now, on the way to that, that's a psychological aspect. On a physical point of view, I would say that legal protection is extremely important. Not to be working in the political spectrum, which is utterly fraudulent, which is utterly manufactured. And by now, I'm hoping that, since 9/11, people, even in America, can start to see that now. They get a glimpse of the fact that this political pigsty is not the place to be trying to affect real change at all. It's a totally manufactured thing. But that the legal protections, and this is the same legality I'm talking about, that serves to protect the Knights Templars, you see, and the pedophile priests and all the white-collar criminals, you see. Well, listen, if these people get a slap on the wrist, it's because they're up on some of these legal protections. And therefore, individuals need to, research that both on internet and both in book form and so on, and even just up to a basic social level, to be aware of what their rights are, so that they can't be pushed around by, the local sort of mafias and the corrupt police chiefs and so forth and so on. Then they need to also study the secret society, levels of control that operate behind the police force and behind the governors and the mayors. They need to become familiar with all of this stuff so that they have a certain sense of empowerment. And it's not just hopelessness, because that's what they're disseminating. They want us to feel hopeless. They want us to feel alienated. They want us to feel cowed, you see. And by constantly shaking up the economic system, as they've done quite recently before the Obama election, these are tried and true means. So people need to develop the pattern recognition to find out who is the enemy, what tools do they use, and how often do they use them, how much repetition is involved here, so that they can create the particular climate, you see, to dumb down and weaken and confuse the human race. It's a study. It's not one area, but it certainly must not only be political. It must be psychological. It must be legal. It must be looking behind the veil of reality to discover how this particular parasite operates. You must first diagnose the problem before you can treat it, you see. So we're in that stage now, and that's why people need to put away their skepticism. They need to put away their partisan, affiliations, because these, again, have been manufactured for them. And they need to study this particular subject as anyone would in a college or university setting, with great objectivity, with great passion, so that the world that really is operating, not just a person's idea of reality, but the world as really is operating, starts to come into view.
Yes, indeed. Max, do you want to follow that up in the last 5 minutes?
Yeah, I've been talking to people about, non-compliance. I believe that my global non-compliance film was actually posted in your forums, and to say that not complying with the system, staying in a positive, energetic state, doing the right thing by everybody, doing the right thing by yourself, because the whole system that they have got in place It's all about doing the wrong thing. It's about profiting from people. It's about putting yourself first. It's all self-servants, 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 fear, fear, fear. If you can put yourself in an energetic state of love and you can just not comply with their system, do what's right by everybody all the time, you can literally reshape this reality. I believe that what's happening in 2012 is going to be what we make it. And we're on the edge of the bowl here. We could either fall in or we can free ourselves. And I really think that is one of the other aspects is what you're advertising on a lot on your website is the free energy, the different kinds of therapy, which empowers you and your family. So start small. It's not something that is going to come from the top down. All the solutions are grassroots. They're about people taking their own responsibility back. Getting into horticulture, getting into agriculture, permaculture, alternative, housing, alternative electricity, alternative medicine. This is empowering. It's interesting for people and their families, and that gives the individual then the sense of empowerment on their own individual level, that then you're empowered to move on into your community and with your other friends, because now you have a model. Merely shooting the breeze at the local pub and talking about it, in a sort of an amateuristic way isn't going to convince anybody of anything. But people get very convinced quickly when you have a model to show them that, listen, look how I've done it, look how I'm living, look what I do. Then other people, get the idea much, much quicker than if it's just a bunch of words on a local level. That's not going to work at all. So it's about individuals, sharpening up and getting involved with some of these alternative things and researching it and finding that it works for them. And then from that point, moving out into the world to change other people. What we're too much seeing right now is people, who are not eloquent, people who are not up to speed on a lot of stuff, are running around putting a lot of fear and paranoia out there and sort of saying this must be done, that must be done, and it's like some sort of Alice in Wonderland, kitchen scene. And it's like the Keystone Cops. That is not going to work. We need some real cohesive and factual and rational, but very grassroots solutions so that anyone at all in this world can get involved with it. That's the message for the future, both for the children, both for the youth, and for everyone else in the world. But again, must not feel disempowered by thinking, oh my God, this is so almighty big that little old me can do nothing about it. Quite the reverse. It's like Professor Tolkien showed. A single tiny little hobbit has the power to bring down universal evil. It can be done, it has been done, and it will be done again.
Yes, indeed, and we just cannot give up. I'm a firm believer, Michael, in that we create our own reality, and I have experimented with that enough to know that there's a lot of legitimacy to that concept. Can we just join together and create another reality and step into that one and out of this one that we find ourselves currently in?
Well, yes, you can, but you see, it's very important that we don't create another tyranny in the place of the old tyranny. If a person is not in touch with their emotions, if they're not coming from a sane place, then even we will create the very same thing, we've already got. As I said, the world order, as we know it now, is the creation of psychopaths, self-serving, narcissistic, control-mad, regimented maniacs. When you look around at the rest of the world, I don't see much different. So it's not everyone is going to get this, because everyone is also not working with their emotions, and in many senses it's just as insane as the people who happen to have government power. It's a spectrum. So in the past, in the ancient times, you see, none of this kind of psychopathy was ever able to get into a position of power, because you had the shamanic traditions and you had the druidic ways and you had the protections in place to make sure that anyone with a diseased mind and a diseased heart never made it to the place of any kind of power whatsoever. Today we're in the opposite position, in which the filthiest and most degenerate people are in the positions of power. So it's all back to psychology again. The world is there to be inherited by those who are sane, moral, and virtuous, and it doesn't matter, that's the fundamental rule. The people who are not like that, be they ordinary people or be they governmental people, they're not going to inherit anything but total ruin and destruction.
Absolutely. Thank you, Michael, for being on the show. It's gone so fast, but I've learned so much.
You're welcome, John. Thanks a lot.